Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we've got a Harley Road King. This has a modified engine and a lot of Screaming Eagle parts. So this is 119 cubic inch, Screaming Eagle free flow filter and Screaming Eagle 2-1-2 exhaust system. So yeah, this is going to be a nice one to do. You can see these are pretty restricted in the cans. Obviously just needs the back pressure, but I suppose it serves a purpose. We'll see what the graph looks like. Try and see if I can get a comparison to a standard Road King graph. Anyway, yeah, I've had a nice 1 week holiday, so feeling fresh and ready for it. Yeah, we will get on with the pre-run, see where we're at, and then decide what we're going to do with it. Okay, so these Harley Road King standard is 114 cubic inch. Okay, so you can see she's tinging and pinging. We just had a couple gauges to calibrate, obviously the detonation. That's very important, so we normally calibrate that gauge on rev up. So just before it hits peak RPMs, we would have it show 1 or 2 little dots. It's a nice little unit from Founder Tuning. They've been very helpful in the past. So this is our pre-run. Nice smooth curve, making its peak torque up at about 3000 RPM, peak horsepower up at about 5000 RPM. Air fuel ratio is about 12.8. The fueling is actually pretty good on this bike, to be honest. It's just low down there where the client wants it nice and smooth. You can see it's a very lean air fuel ratio, and then it just runs into a very rich air fuel ratio. So we'll make that nice and consistent, progressive. Newton meter. So that's our pre-run. We will now get our ECU bin file all flashed in and then start making some changes. Okay, so after a bit of an issue, we're back with our Harley Road King. When we ended off last, the ECU was totally locked. So we had to basically use the TTS tuner that the client had been supplied and reload the stock file which was saved on that back into the ECU so that we can now actually use our willage. So that's where the issue is, because the original file that Harley loads on these ECUs is the main file that you would need to do absolutely anything on these bikes because they're locked to the bin number. So even the stock bin file from Willage Racing cannot be loaded into these ECUs successfully. It locks the ECU unless you have the original map, which you can install back to the ECU. So in other words, even Willage's file is only used for reading the ECU. We still have to load back the original file. So a bit of a complicated one on the Harleys, but when it starts going smooth, it goes smooth. So we're back in business. I've written the new mapping in. Just base changes, so we're about to start doing some fuel logging and then we'll see where we're at. But I'm pretty happy with my changes. I've made some ignition timing changes. Again, we're going to check our ignition timing with the knock sensor to see if we get any detonation under load. So normally we'll go sort of to peak torque, lock and load there, and then we would get in the high gear and accelerate up to that and see if we can get any detonation under load. So yeah, stay tuned. We're going to do some fuel tuning and then we'll Okay, so as you can see, we are getting detonation quite hectic, even at low RPM, low revs. So I just want to show you basically on our ignition timing now, where we've given it that 2 degree advance. We're going to take that back 1 degree and then obviously just drop it down low, where you can see sort of at between 2 and 3,000 RPM. It's got quite a big ramp up. So I was just being a bit aggressive with the timing. I'm going to back that off and then we'll get back into our fuel tune and make sure we got no detonation. That's why it's so important to be able to have the correct equipment to tune motorcycles, because once this bike leaves here and the client's riding around up hills and in cold conditions where the air is more dense and the fuel mixture might be a bit leaner, he's going to run into these detonation problems, and then it's going to gradually eat his piston away, cause more strain on the piston, break the ring lands, and then he's in for an engine build. So we just need to be super careful and cautious with ignition timing. Although if we've got the correct equipment, you can be very aggressive and know, hey, I'm getting pinging at this RPM, pinging and detonation on the same term. Let's just back all that off, drop it down a degree or two, and retest to make sure that under extreme circumstances we're getting no detonation. Right, so final results on our Harley Road King. Here we go. There's a nice smooth curve. You can see we've gained power right through the rev range, torque and horsepower. But that issue with the ECU being flashed with TTS, the rev limiter was raised almost to 7,000. Stock is 6,000, so we spoke to the client and he wanted it at 6.5. So that's why you'll see us not revving out to where it was. But you can see a nice power gain the whole way. Final specs, 94 horsepower to 100 horsepower and 152 Newton meters to 163.5. The fueling, you can see, nice and smooth the whole way through. So that's all sorted. There's no more. You can see before it was running off the chart there, too lean, very jerky, surgy mixture. So that's all good to go. So yeah, stay tuned for our next video.